Well, of course, it's been quite a long and emotional day on Breitscheidplatz, the square, of course, where this attack took place, beginning in the day with a private ceremony for survivors of the attack, families of the victims. And then, of course, we heard speeches from several of Germany's leading politicians, as well as Berlin's mayor, Michael Müller. But certainly the square began to fill up this evening as members of the public were allowed onto the square to pay their respects. And at 8:02 p.m., the exact time at which the truck crashed into the Christmas market a year ago today, those present were invited to congregate around the central Gedächtniskirche church there to light candles and pay their respects as the bells of this church rang out for 12 minutes, 1 minute for each of the victims who were killed in that disastrous attack. The names of these victims have also been engraved onto the steps of this church next to a big crack that has been cut into the ground there on the steps down onto the pavement. This crack was today filled in with liquid gold. It is meant to represent, of course, the lasting wound that this awful attack has caused, and also the fact that cracks in Germany's society need to be overcome.
Well, along with the commemoration, there's also been a lot of soul-searching from the authorities over how they dealt with those attacks, hasn't there?
Well, yes, over the last year since this horrendous attack, German authorities on local and national levels, police forces, and indeed Germany's top politicians have been criticised for firstly not doing enough to prevent this attack from happening, and also in what was being seen as an insufficient reaction to it. Firstly, of course, we've known for several years now, in fact, the Interior Minister has reminded us for several years that Germany could be the target of a terror attack, especially in the wake of terror attacks in neighbouring countries. And so many feel that the authorities here weren't really prepared enough, and they really should have been. Also, of course, Anis Amri, the perpetrator of this awful attack, was a man who was known to police. He had been under police surveillance for several months. He was known to be a drug criminal and also suspected of having links to an IS group in Libya. So, of course, the big question is, why was this man allowed to walk around freely and was able to actually commit this awful attack? And, of course, all these questions really too little too late for, of course, the families of the victims, but they feel that in the wake of this attack that they were very poorly treated when it came to compensation and when it came to information about their family members who may have been affected or involved in the attack, and even from the German Chancellor, who many of the family members of the victims are accusing of really not doing enough to sort of pay their condolences and reach out to them. In fact, Angela Merkel only met with the families of the victims yesterday, a year after this attack took place. So she also has been criticised for not really doing enough.